were getting shorter and shorter. Pretty soon nobody was there. But that was the best experience, along with getting a chance to work with my mentor, Pat Morita. He was just incredible. He would help me with certain pointers, not only as an actor, but just to navigate this industry, because it can be a little crazy. He helped keep everybody grounded because of all the things that he went through. He didn't have a great and easy life, and to get to where he got to was a testament to his hard work. And so when you look back, he was one of the pioneers, and he paved the way for the next generation. And so I'm always constantly grateful for that, and you just kind of pay it forward. So I try and help out independent filmmakers. Anybody who has any questions about the industry, I'm more than happy to answer any questions. But that was what I took away from the film, and also Tamlin was awesome. Ralph, it's funny because Ralph was not really kind of in with the group, because he's so serious about the craft, and he would just work on his character and everything like that. So we didn't get a chance to really connect. However, fast forward to Cobra Kai, 30 plus years later, we became really close and really good friends. So I'm grateful to get a chance to get to know Ralph as a friend. So it was, it's all a blessing to be part of this franchise.
Talking about because if you chose the character, how did you kind of channel your character? Because you're an affable, sweet guy in real life, and I guess
I'll take that.
Okay, and but Chozen's kind of, and then your gang member, your gang, and then also working with Sato, the late Danny Kamikona. Can you talk about kind of how did you kind of work together to inform kind of being the villain?
I think, we all have a past. And I think growing up, I was kind of, I was Chozen-esque. Not quite as bad, but I had a lot of those kind of qualities because I was a rebel. And being a middle child, all the middle children can understand this. Just a rebel growing up. I drove my mom crazy, but it's a testament to their upbringing that I was able to push through and get to a stage where I was able to kind of separate myself from all the crap, and so I'm very blessed to have very supportive parents. Being Asian American, the biggest thing for my parents was education, which I think is extremely important to have as a degree. But when I was probably in my third year of college, I told my parents I can't do it. I'm done. I gotta go pursue my passion. And my mom, she actually said to me, which is a surprise, she said, as long as you are going to commit and really do this 100%, then I will be behind you every step of the way. And I'm so blessed because she would help me with my lines, she would help me with auditions, she would be there for me. And so I owe it to my mom and my dad for all the wonderful things that they taught me over the years. So you draw from all your past to bring it to your character, and that's how you bring your character to life.
Well, understanding Asian parents, that's rare to be.
I know. Oh, man.
Especially in the acting world. Can you talk about basically, you're new to the scene, you had done a little summer, and you were doing some TV work, and then this Chronic Part 2. Talk about, you mentioned about Tamlin. How is it working with Tamlin?
Yeah, Tamlin is she's like mean, and I mean this in the best of terms. She's like a dude.
Yeah.
And she's the kind that you just chill and hang out with. She is so sweet and super supportive, and she's really active with the community. And there's not a weekend where she's not going to this event and that event, and you know, she's extremely active within the JA and Asian American community. So I just have nothing but wonderful things to say about her as an individual, and she's just a wonderful actress. You know, just there's nothing bad I have to say. And everybody was saying, yeah, you should have ended up with Kumiko and Cobra Kai and this and that. Trust me, they tried to make that work, but at the end of the day, it didn't happen, and the writers had to pivot, which is unfortunate because I think a lot of people really wanted the two of us to get together. However, flashback to Karate Kid 2, and you'll see this memorable moment where I literally punched her face. So I think taking that into account, it's hard to come back and have a relationship with somebody who punched your face. Yes.
So tell me about getting the call regarding Cobra Kai, because that was, you know, now you have in this world of like IP reboots or, you know, or requels, you know, so to speak. But Cobra Kai was different because it really was made by fans who really made a really great kind of character arc, and you know, I mean having Johnny be kind of the villain become the hero and whatnot, and but like, can you talk about kind of like, you know, you getting the call to reprise your role?
Yeah, the first thing I said to the showrunners, which is John, Josh, and Hayden, the big three, we call them. They're the creators of Cobra Kai. I'm huge fans. They know more about the universe than any of us actors. When I got the call, I said, yeah, what took you so long? Because all my friends were saying, you know, it's season 2, are you anything maybe? And I didn't get the call till after season 2 finished. Then I think the big three reached out to me. And it's a tough thing because you want to make sure they show deference to Chozen, because I mean, you don't want to go into something just for a paycheck. And I had known this character for so many years, I lived this character for so many years, that I didn't want to bring dishonor to the character. So when they sent me the first draft, I initially passed. And they were kind of dumbfounded. They said, why would you pass? Why? So I told them, I said, look, I want to make sure that this character has a definite arc and a definite growth. I want to have the balance of, yeah, he does the humor now, he's more vulnerable and all that, but I also didn't want to lose that edge, because I think that's what made Chozen who he was. That unpredictability. There's Michael Sun Lee, yes. So yeah, anyway, that's kind of the direction that I wanted to go, and so they said, well, send us what you got. And so I sent them this 2-page synopsis of the trajectory that I think Chozen went on, this journey from, you know, getting the, you know, losing his honor on the island to present day. I mean, what happened between? So I sent them all this stuff, and they said, okay, we got it. So they rewrote the script for my character, sent me the new draft, and then I said I'm in. So it's not something that I just take lightly and collect a paycheck. I just wanted to make sure it was done right, and they did it. 3-dimensional character.
Yeah, it's good. The showrunners actually took your input and whatnot. So before we start the movie, I think we're going to have some time for questions from the audience. Do you have any questions for Yuji? Yes.
I have a question about the show True Believer.
Hi, Yuji. I wanted to ask you about that show you did, True Believer.
Yes.
I mean, as far as for Asian actors, that was some kind of culmination for you to be working with Robert Downey Jr., Iron Man, and James Woods. I mean, I was so proud to know that, hey, I knew this guy.
Al worked on the film, by the way. Yeah, it was interesting. I'll tell you some stories with that movie because we shot in an actual prison. We were at Folsom Prison, which is a maximum security prison up in Northern California, and we were kind of in with the population. Granted, they had to kind of weed out the hardcore, killers and all that stuff, but we were in with all the gangbangers, so it was, you just don't know what's going to happen. And before we entered the gates, we got this paper, and we're looking at, what is this, right? Turns out it was a waiver. So basically, it's a no hostage exchange policy, right? So we had to sign our name on this before we could even enter the prison. So we're all looking at each other and saying, is this okay? I mean, should we sign? So we just said, heck, we're here, let's sign it. So we all went in, and it was quite an experience. Working with Robert Downey Jr., working with James Woods, what a treat. Yeah, but it's one of my favorite films that I ever had a chance to work on.
Hello. How often, in your experience, have the writers solicited a synopsis from an actor or the actual feedback on the story and storyline and where it's going?
Never happens. Yeah, never really happens. I mean, you're paid to say the words, but because of my past connection with the character from Karate Kid 2, they were smart enough to realize, okay, we should listen to what he has to say, because I mean, I had no commitment to the piece itself. And so they knew that, and I wasn't trying to do some sort of ego trip. I want to make sure I'm clear with that. I just wanted to make sure the character was done right. I mean, I don't want to embarrass the Asian American community, and I've always fought for making sure the characters have dignity. Back in the 80s especially, we all got offered these movies that were really stereotypical. And when Karate Kid 2 came along, it was something so different, and playing a strong character in a film that's Asian American, that's Asian period, was so few and far between that because of that, I just wanted to make sure that when I reprise this character, I make sure I honor that character.
What was one of the most important lessons you learned throughout your career in life?
Don't take this business seriously, honestly. It's a tough business. It's getting a lot tougher. I don't really have, okay, so the reason why I got into the business because I wanted to be a serious actor. I didn't want to just go in there and just collect a paycheck and just try and be famous, right? Because that wasn't my goal. As an artist, the thing that I always remembered was love the art in yourself, not yourself in the art. So that was always something I took with me. And, when you talk about respect, when you work on a set, you look around at, say, the trailers, right? And how some people just have no real respect for other people's jobs. I look in some trailers and people just throw their wardrobe onto the floor, they don't hang it up. I always look at it this way. I always put my wardrobe up the same way it came in my trailer, and it's all about respect. Respect everybody on that set. There's no ego, and that ego should be checked at the door. So for me, always respect everybody that works on a set, because that PA that is getting, let's say, all the crap and having to do this run, that run, this run, they could be the next director. They could be the next one that's giving you your job. Yeah? So always respect people, because you never know where they're going to be, right? So that's the best advice I can give is always respect everyone, no matter what, in life. You know, parents, you know, everybody that does work. So it comes down.
That was very interesting to find that Aloha Summer, I didn't know you filmed that in 1984 because it came out in 1988. I grew up here in Hawaii, and so we pay attention to any movies that are filmed in Hawaii. But I wanted to ask, Aloha Summer had Chris Makepeace from the 80s classic My Bodyguard, Tia Carrera, right? Before she was discovered. There's got to be some fun stories you can share about filming Aloha Summer here in Hawaii.
Wow. Okay. So there was this one scene we were filming on the beach, and we were probably a week into filming, and they hadn't gotten the cast all set. And one of the members that they didn't, one of the roles that they didn't cast yet was the role of my father. And so we're sitting on the beach and we're doing this scene, and Chris Makepeace, you know, and I were having this conversation, and the dialogue was something like, so I have to go now. I have to study kendo with my father. And so Chris Makepeace says, oh yeah, who's your father? And I said, I don't know, they haven't cast him yet. We got in trouble for that one. They didn't like that. They said, you're wasting film, we're losing light. And all that stuff. But we were just young and silly and stupid, and we just were bored. And so one take, it's only one take. So that's kind of the stuff we did as youngsters.
I have a quick question. So I think you made the introduction to me to the late Albert Pion,
Yes.
right? So if you don't know who Albert Pion is, local boy, director, you know, he was a cult director. His claim to fame was the Sword of the Sorcerer, but he made, you know, lots of, you know, direct-to-video movies. He made the original, he made the Captain America before the MCU. He did a film called Nemesis, which you were in, which also was shot in the Big Island, right? So, but also he discovered Jean-Claude Van Damme with Cyborg, and he worked with DMX. He worked with Steven Seagal. You know, and like Ice-T. But talk about working with Albert. You know, who thankfully I was able to honor him a few years ago before he passed. But talk about working with Albert.
Albert was one of a kind. That guy, talk about filming, you know, just on the fly. That was true guerrilla filmmaking. He would say,
Ed Wood. Ed Wood filmmaking.
It's crazy. The kind of stuff that he would think of, it's like on the spot. Like, well, let's do this. And so he was able to just switch gears, no matter what. Anything comes up, any problems, switch gears. And he was fabulous to watch as a film director. I remember the first time I met him was on, I think it was for an audition for Kickboxer, I don't know, 20, I don't know how many there were, but it was a lot of them. And so he was directing one of them, I believe, and so he had me come in and meet with him and whatnot. And so I read the script. And on the script, it didn't say Albert Pion, right? It's some other name on there, pseudonym, right? And so he asked me, and I was just really straightforward. He said, hey, so did you read the script? I said, yeah, I read the script. So what did you think? And I said, well, it's really bad. It's terrible, honestly. And the writing is really bad. I don't know if you know the writer, but and I don't want to offend, but it's not the greatest. But I appreciate you having me come in and all that. So he said, oh, yeah, no worries. It's good to meet you, and this and this and this. And so fast forward, I realized after the fact, that was him that wrote that script, and he uses an alias sometimes on his scripts. And I said, oh my God, I just insulted this poor man. A testament to him, he had me come back, and he cast me in a role. I think it was Nemesis is the one that he brought me in. Subsequently, I worked with Albert probably on 6 films.
Brain Smasher.
Brain Smasher, we shot in Portland. What a name. Brain Smasher, a love story. Oh boy.
And if you're not introduced to the world of Albert Bjorn, a lot of his films are online, especially on Tubi, the greatest streaming service ever. We have time for maybe one more question.
Just wondering if, especially considering that you do have some writing experience, are there any projects that you are personally looking to create, whether it's film or TV or any other art form that you're looking to create from your own experience, from your imagination?
Yeah, I enjoy the process of writing. I think everybody should write. It's a great way to express yourself. I have multiple stories that I have in my head, and I just sit in front of my computer and start jotting down ideas, and I have this one script that I really love and I'm working on and just polishing right now. Hopefully it'll get done. It's it's a feel-good kind of story, which there are so few and far between. We need more of those kind of uplifting stories, story about hope and faith. So I hope it'll get done. In the meantime, I have 3 short films that are coming out. One of them is called 1020. It's again one of those kind of relationship stories, father-daughter. I did another one called Exiting, which is another father-daughter story and relationship. And then I have another movie called Thumbprint, which I think they submitted to HIF. And Thumbprint follows the story of this guy, Shimoda, that wanted to follow his dream, which was to become a photographer in New York City. And when the war broke out, he fought tooth and nail. While everybody was sent to internment camps, he fought against going to internment and wanted to follow his dream, which he eventually did. And FBI was after him and all this craziness, but he was able to move to New York City and follow his dream and became a photographer.
I really like that film, and sneak peek, we're going to show that film at HIF. So.
Oh,
Yeah. So,
cool. I'll be back then.
Before we conclude, I was going to say, your Hawaii ties, you're an actor, but also a restaurateur in Seattle. You have your restaurants. What are they called?
Both restaurants are called Kona Kitchen. It's Hawaiian American food. So if any of you folks ever find yourself in Seattle or Linwood, Washington, we have 2 locations. The first location was started almost 25 years ago, so next year will be 25 years. It's quite the grind. Not what I imagined would it be. Playing the restaurateur on TV is totally different than actually working in the kitchen. But it's been a fantastic journey. We made so many friends, and so much goodwill came from the restaurant. So I'm so grateful. We also started a nonprofit called the Kona Ohana Fund, which was started from the whole pandemic happening. And unfortunately, we lost my mother-in-law and my father-in-law at the same time during the pandemic. So to honor my mother-in-law, she was into education, we decided to start this fund. And we pivoted a little bit because of the Maui fires. We decided that would be the first donation that we would make out the gate, because it was such a tough situation for a lot of folks on Maui. And so we donated the first responders' families who were hit hard, because you hear stories about them, the firefighters are putting out one fire here and that fire there, and meanwhile their own home is on fire and burning. So it's a tough pill to swallow when you see the heartache and heartbreak that these first responders' families went through. So that was our first donation out of the gate.
Well, they're very commendable. Usually. And I actually have dined at the restaurant, and like I gotta say, it's legit local food. I go to local when I have that an inkling for a craving for local food in LA, and I go eat it, and I'm like, what the hell is this? Like, it's like, this is not Simon, but your food is very, very authentic, which I think is really great. So
You just want to keep it authentic,
Yeah.
and not this fusion kind of stuff. Just straight up kind of plate lunch stuff.
total comfort food. Great. Okay, let's give another round of applause. Thank you for coming. How many? Raise your hand. This is the first time watching Karate Kid Part 2. Is this your first time? How about, were you fans of the Karate Kid or Cobra Kai? Let's raise.
Karate Kid.
Both. Okay, great. Well, you're in for a treat. This is a classic. It's Hoot and Holler. You see a lot of landmarks. You see Chinaman Hat. It's not Okinawa. A lot of it was all shot on the windward side. And thank you again for coming. And hopefully you guys can come back next week for Rental Family, which closes the Summer Flick series. And we'll have the director Hikari zooming in from Tokyo. And again, before we exit the stage, let's give another round of applause for Yuji. And
yeah, you.
We'll have a special message from another actor in the film that's going to be played before the film. So thank you again for coming. Please enjoy The Karate Kid Part 2.
Woo! Yeah, Yuji. Yeah, you.